Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. 1 week after a white supremacist went to the Tops supermarket in Buffalo and murdered 10 black people, a mass shooter went to the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and shot and murdered 19 children and 2 adults. Now, according to reports, your Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old man, allegedly drove his truck and crashed it and then took out a semi-automatic weapon and took it to the Robb Elementary School and then began firing that semi-automatic weapon, murdering 19 children and 2 adults at the Robb Elementary School. Now, while the nation is in mourning, they see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the behavior of Salvador Ramos, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And your Salvador Ramos, based on what I have read regarding his background, definitely fits the pattern and profile that I talk about regarding beta males in The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that your Salvador Ramos had been a ticking time bomb for an extended period of time. Now, your Salvador Ramos possibly comes from a single mother household, and he was really frustrated about the whole state of his life based on what I read. Now, your Salvador Ramos was supposedly a quiet kid who was one of these loners, or in some cases, some people are saying an emo, and he had been having issues because he had, according to some reports, grown up poor, and he was really frustrated about the state of his life. Now, according to some reports, they're saying that he had speech impediments and was speaking with a lisp and a stutter, and he was also dealing with being frustrated about his inability to graduate with his class. So he had a lot of issues going on as related to him being frustrated about the state of his life, and I believe all of those frustrations wound up simmering and boiling in anger, and as he simmered and boiled in anger, he was just really at the point where he was going to explode in rage, and sadly, he wound up exploding in rage and taking the lives of those who could not defend themselves, 19 innocent little children. Now, this is par for the course, sadly, with these beta males. They oftentimes, when they cannot get their lives to go right, they go out here looking to do harm to those who do not have the power to defend themselves. And that's because these males are just so angry about their lives, they want to go out here and hurt somebody. And that was shown with your Salvador Ramos. He was just looking for somebody to hurt because, according to some reports, he was running around looking to start fights at a Wendy's he was working at, and he was looking to be aggressive with girls at the job, and he go out here and he had boxing gloves with him looking for people to fight. So he had a serious anger issue for an extended period of time, and he was looking for somebody to hurt because he just was so angry. Now, a lot of people want to go out here and make the excuse and say your Salvador Ramos was mentally ill, but I have seen this pattern of behavior with numerous mass shooters, and none of them were mentally ill. No, what's wrong with many of these beta males is these beta males were never taught male life skills or male survival skills, and because they were not taught male life skills or male survival skills, many of these males do not know how to, 1, navigate through their emotions, and 2, know how to problem solve. Now, the big problem I see from reading Salvador Ramos' story is, 1, he did not know how to work through his emotions and understand that, well, yes, while you feel you don't have a right to act and do harm to others. And two, he did not know how to problem solve, because a lot of these beta males, because when they get in situations in life where things aren't working out, they don't understand that you have to come up with a solution that will help you wind up solving the problem in your life. Now, I myself had wound up in a situation where I wasn't able to graduate in 1991 with my class, and I had to buckle down and do the work to graduate the next year. Unfortunately, today's kids, like your Salvador Ramoses, don't have any resolve and discipline, and they don't want to go out here and put in the work. So what he was angry about was his family situation, his inability to graduate with his class, and he was just really angry about these things. And he thought, since he cannot have the success he wanted in life, he felt justified in destroying the lives of others. This is a pattern of behavior that these beta males participate in. When they feel like their lives aren't going right, they want to destroy the lives of others around them, and they want to go out in infamy since they believe they can't achieve or accomplish anything. So what they do when they feel like they cannot achieve or accomplish anything in life, what they do is look to destroy the lives of others around them and go out in a blaze of glory. And that is what's happened here with your Salvador Ramos, as he went out here, worked at this job at Wendy's, got enough money to go buy these firearms, and possibly planned this whole incident over a couple of course of months. Because when it comes down to these beta males, when they feel like they have nothing to lose, they make these plans to go out here and do harm to others many, many months in advance. This is what I have found from doing my research on these shooters, like this individual and the one who participated in the mass shooting at the Top Supermarket, and even Elliot Rodger. Many of these mass shooters plan these shootings in advance because they believe they cannot gain any sort of progress in life, and they want to go out again in this blaze of glory and infamy and be remembered for participating in an act of evil. And that's what people need to understand about these beta males. These beta males do not have any sort of mental health problem. Again, these beta males know willfully and intentionally what they're doing. They are acting with a sound mind, and that sound mind has malice of forethought, and as these males plan these murders. So these males know what they're doing, they know why they're doing it, and people just need to stop using mental health as an excuse, because there was nothing mentally wrong with this individual when he went out here and bought these weapons, bought a tactical vest to protect himself from being shot, and went out here and made these plans and let people know about these plans on social media. Now, that's the other troubling part about this whole situation. This Salvador Ramos put information on TikTok and Instagram letting everyone know he was going to commit this crime, but people wound up dismissing this information. I mean, on Instagram, he is shown with 2 semi-automatic rifles, and he is shown sending messages to people saying he's going to do this, but nobody took it seriously because they thought, oh, this is just some white Hispanic guy and he's just saying things. But when he's saying something, he's sending you a message for a reason. This is what people really don't understand with these beta males. If they send you a message like this, you need to take it seriously. Now, I find it interesting that if a black person puts a message on Instagram saying that they are just taking that's really innocuous, social media will ban that information. But this guy put up pictures of him with firearms, and there was no response from Instagram or TikTok until after the shooting. Clearly, he was putting up information to let people know what his plans were, but the people on social media did not take those plans seriously, and that just shows you how out of touch some people are as related to this whole incident. And sadly, what happened in this incident was the most innocent of people were killed. 19 innocent children who had no way of defending themselves from this killer. And that's the saddest part of this whole incident, is that all of these little children wound up losing their lives the same way that all of those children in the incident with Adam Lanza wound up losing their lives. I mean, these children could not defend themselves, but the beta males do want that to be, because beta males, all they want to do is hurt people, and they look to hurt people who cannot defend themselves. That's one of the things that really is a major part of these mass shooting patterns. These guys go looking to take the lives of those who cannot defend themselves, and they look to go out in infamy. And we are seeing a lot of these killers getting younger and younger. And one of the reasons I believe we're seeing a lot of them becoming younger is, one, due to the complete breakdown of the family, and two, I believe a part of it has to do with what many call the Rittenhouse effect. Now, your Salvador Ramos's family had a dysfunctional situation, and I believe he was very angry at his mother and his grandparents, and he eventually just wound up getting to the point where he exploded in rage, because the first person he murdered was his grandmother, allegedly after a heated argument about him not finishing high school. So he had a lot of anger at his mother and his grandmother for an extended period of time, and he eventually wound up exploding in this rage, first by murdering his grandmother, the same way Adam Lanza murdered his mother. And this is a pattern again with beta males, because a lot of beta males, they're angry at the female authority figures for not teaching them the life skills that they need to survive. So a lot of these males, they're really angry at the female authority figures, so they take their anger out by taking their lives, because they feel like these individuals failed them. But sadly, what caused them to fail is the fact that many of these males were taught by these females female life skills, and they don't know how to use those life skills. Don't work for men, and because those life skills don't work for men, these guys really start to get angry, because they're trying to make a way in a world. But the whole thing is, the female's way of life does not work for a man, because the world works differently for a man than it does a woman. And that's one of the reasons why these guys wind up becoming so frustrated and angry, and eventually explode in these rages where they look to take the lives of all of those around them. And as they look to take the lives of those around them, we're seeing a really negative effect from the verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse incident in Kenosha. Now, I personally believe that your Kyle Rittenhouse came to Kenosha to participate in a mass shooting where he looked to take the lives of black people based on the information he saw on the news. And as your Kyle Rittenhouse came to Kenosha, Wisconsin, what happened was, instead of running into black people, he ran into white leftists, and as he ran into these white leftists, what happened was he wound up killing two and wound up injuring and maiming another. And instead of the courts going out here and punishing Kyle Rittenhouse, what has happened is the courts went out here and made him a celebrity, and people like Rick Schroeder and your Mike Lindell went out here and enabled your Kyle Rittenhouse. And as your Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted for this crime, what happened was he wound up being made into a celebrity. And once he was made into a celebrity by the mainstream media and the far-right media, this is what I believe is emboldening and motivating a lot of these new current mass shooters to participate in their acts of terror. What happened is, after they saw Kyle Rittenhouse being made into a mainstream media celebrity, And this wound up making many of these mass shooters believe that they would receive the same attention. Moreover, as they saw the Tops mass shooter in Buffalo getting all of this attention for his manifesto, getting all of his attention for his crime, and getting a really light punishment as related to the prosecutor's office, which only charged him with one count of murder for the deaths of 10 black people. What many of these other beta male mass shooters are believing is that they are not going to be punished very severely or seen in an infamous fashion. So the Kyle Rittenhouse incident and the Tops mass shooting, this, I believe, is emboldening many of these mass shooters out here to believe that the environment for mass shooting is becoming more beneficial to them. And as they see these males getting attention from the news and see that the criminal justice system isn't going to really punish them, this is one of the things that is motivating many of these mass shooters to think that they can go out here and believe they can go out here and participate in these kinds of incidents. That's what I believe is going on with a lot of these beta males. They see this pattern starting to emerge, and as they see the pattern emerge, this is what's, again, giving them incentive to go out here and plan their violence, because they see that Kyle Rittenhouse was made into a celebrity. They see the Tops mass shooter being made into a celebrity. They see that the Tops mass shooter would not receive any sort of federal terrorism charges, any sort of real serious punishment that would lead to him going to the Supermax. And that's what's motivating them to think, oh, I can do this too. Well, and that's why we're having a really serious problem with a lot of these mass shooters looking to go out here and top one another, because they see, okay, the top supermarket guy was a white supremacist who killed black people, and now we've got this guy, Salvador Ramos, looking to go out here and murder children, looking to top the Tops mass shooter. So this is the kind of evil we're dealing with these beta males. And these beta males, again, they go out here and participate in this depraved violence because of the dysfunctional way they have been raised. Now, you'll have people like your Joe Biden coming on talking about gun control, but this is not a gun control issue. We have had gun control laws on the books since the Brady Bill in the 90s, which dealt with background checks, and that doesn't apply here because this individual did not have a criminal record, and this individual was 18 years old and had not had a psychological profile. So he was able to buy his guns legally, like all of the other mass shooters I have done research on for the chapter Mass Shootings and the Man Crisis in the book, The Man Crisis. So these guys have been buying their guns legally for over a decade and a half. So it's not about gun control, and any politician who tells you that is lying, because it's not a gun control issue. No, we have, again, had these laws on the books like the Brady Bill and the assault weapons ban. And in the 90s, with an assault weapons ban, we have had more mass shootings because of the dysfunctional way boys have been raised. Now, if you do the research, you'll find that these mass shootings have been going on since the 80s, and they have been going on, again, due to the dysfunctional way males have been raised. And when you look at the pattern of the trajectory of mass shootings, they go up exponentially from the 1980s up until the 2020s, and the numbers get higher with each passing year, because each passing year we see more and more beta males being socially engineered in our society due to the dysfunctional way we have been taught to raise males since the 1960s. Now, back in the 1960s, with the rise of the feminist movement, that's when we started to see the social engineering of the beta male, because as we wound up breaking up the family through the establishment of the welfare state and no-fault divorce. This changed the way we raise boys because most of the feminists and many in big business wanted to create a kinder, gentler, softer male. Unfortunately, over the last 50 years, as America has socially engineered this softer male, yes, he's kind and friendly on the outside, he's very soft and docile, but on the inside, he is filled with a lot of anger, and he's simmering and boiling in rage because he doesn't know how to function in the world, because the women who are in authority go out here and teach him female life skills, and as he is taught female life skills, he tries to go out here and function like a man, but when he cannot make things work because he has not been taught male life skills and male survival skills, this is what frustrates him because he cannot make things work in the real world, because the women live in a different plane of reality and men are living in a whole different world. But the man learns how to live like a female, and this is why we have all of these beta males who just do not know how to function. And when they do not know how to function, what they do is look to destroy the world around them. And that's the real issue here that nobody wants to talk about as related to America's man crisis. No, many of your politicians will sit here and talk about gun control, but the problem is the beta male was never taught self-control. And because the beta male was never taught self-control and never taught how to do things like be able to navigate through his emotions, know how to conflict resolve, know how to problem solve, and know how to critically think, this is why we have these males going out here and exploding in rage, because they learn how to think like a female, they learn how to feel like a female, and that's what leads to them sitting there simmering and boiling in anger, thinking about doing evil things to people, and thinking about participating in acts of evil and acts of terrorism like this beta male was thinking to do. That's because of the way we are raising boys to become men. Unfortunately, many politicians, especially those on the left, don't want to talk about the way we have been taught to go out here and raise boys to become men, because it was their policies that went out here and created and socially engineered this beta male with the welfare state and the softening of the male. That was partially them, while those on the right don't want to talk about how they went out here and socially engineered the complete break of the family with no-fault divorce. None of the politicians want to talk about these policies because it was their policies that broke the American family, led to the creation of America's beta male population, and that beta male population over the last 50 years is becoming more and more violent, and we're seeing more and more of their violence because these beta males, they are becoming more and more frustrated because they see a world where they see that they have no role and no purpose and no direction in life, and that's what's led to many of these males just winding up getting more and more angry. And as a result of the COVID-19 lockdowns, these ticking time bombs have become landmines, and these landmines are practically exploding every other day in this country. That's what people really don't understand, is these males are just exploding everywhere because the COVID-19 lockdowns wound up accelerating their clock, and that's why we're starting to see an increase in the frequency of their violence, to the point where we're seeing mass shootings happen practically almost every day. We've got over I'd say about 50 to 100 million of these beta males, and all of them have had their clocks accelerated. So these ticking time bombs are now becoming landmines, and they're exploding everywhere. And as they explode everywhere, it is making it like you have to walk on eggshells anywhere in this country. And sadly, many of your politicians, they are so completely out of touch with reality. They are still talking about gun control laws when the problem wasn't the guns that are killing people. No, it is the people who are killing people. And the beta male is killing people because he feels like he has no purpose in life, no direction in life, no role in life. He is somebody who does not understand how to function in the world, and because he does not know how to function in the world, he looks to destroy the world around him because he cannot make anything work, and he cannot make anything work due to the dysfunctional way we have raised boys for the last 60 years. So the big problem nobody wants to talk about is the man crisis in this country and how the man crisis is creating all of these beta male landmines all across the country, and then nobody wants to talk about it because no one wants to be accountable for their part in the man crisis in government, and many of America's women don't want to be accountable for the dysfunctional way they have raised boys to become men. They don't want to talk about how they wound up raising a boy to become a dysfunctional man. But that's what happens when you have females raising boys. They don't learn how to become men because there is no man in their life to teach them what they need to know. So that's why you're seeing this increase in violence. And sadly, I predicted this maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I did the first couple of man crisis videos. And sadly, we're seeing an increase in frequency of this kind of violence. And that's a sad prediction that has come to fruition. And I saw this coming because I know how many beta males are out there, and there are so many out there, and nobody knows how bad this is because we have over 100 million to, I say, 150 million of these kind of beta males out there. And it's not a matter of if these guys are going to go off, it's a matter of when. And my great fear is nobody knows how dangerous things are because, again, these guys participate in a spectrum of violent behaviors. It can go anywhere from these guys having a yelling fit to one of these tragic mass shootings, and this is all due to the dysfunctional way this male has been raised. Now, you'll also have people, again, continuing to talk about gun control and talking about how we need to stop these guys from getting access to guns, but I have done research on this, and you can have all the gun legislation. It's not going to stop these guys because in the UK, they have the strictest gun control laws, and what happened was these guys go out here and they have been participating in knife attacks. They have been taking out trucks and using them as weapons. It doesn't matter with a beta male. When he's angry and wants to destroy the world, he will weaponize anything from a knife to a vehicle, or he may even participate in an act like what we saw with your Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols participate in with Oklahoma City in 1995. That is the type of violence that these type of individuals participate in, and you have a lot of people who don't understand that we have really, again, created a really dangerous situation because we didn't raise our boys to become men. We raised them to become beta males. People thought they could control the beta male, but you cannot control this beta male because he has the emotions of a woman, the physical strength of a man, and the self-control of a child, and that makes them act impulsively, and that's what makes these males dangerous, and this is what's making our society in a very precarious situation. And sadly, no one in America wants to acknowledge the man crisis. We have people making empty speeches talking about how we need to change, but the sad part is nobody wants to change because nobody wants to acknowledge the problem here in America with the way we are raising boys to become men, because the way we are raising boys to become men is making all of these violent beta males, and these beta males are turning America into a nation in crisis, because if we cannot control these men, we are not going to have any sort of civilization, because these individuals, all they are doing is making chaos, And the chaos they are making is because they believe they have no hope, no purpose, and no direction. And that's why I say the solution to the man crisis is investing in America's men, because we need to do something about the men and the way we are raising men and the boys to become men, and the way we are doing things is not really helping anything right now. We have to invest in our men to stop this man crisis, but sadly nobody wants to do that because it's not politically popular or socially popular, because nobody wants to deal with this whole situation in the way it needs to be dealt with, because it's politically incorrect to say invest in men and go out here and put resources into boys and men, because the reason why we have so many men in crisis and they're participating in this kind of violence is because, again, they feel like they have no purpose, they feel like they have no direction, they feel like they have nothing to lose, and they feel like they have nothing to lose because they feel like they have no way of accomplishing anything. So you have a very dangerous situation, and that dangerous situation is one nobody is really taking seriously. All we have is a lot of people who are, again, getting upset because these incidents are happening and they're just going around and around in a vicious circle. But when I look at this incident, I mean, this male put on a bulletproof vest and murdered children. Again, it shows me how dangerous these beta males are becoming and how depraved their violence is becoming. And sadly, nobody is really acknowledging the crisis going on with America, with America's men. And that's why we continue to see these kind of incidents. But the only way we're going to be able to stop these kinds of incidents is we have to go out here and acknowledge the man crisis going on here in America and really make some efforts to really deal with these beta males and deal with the way we are raising boys to become men. Now, if you want to learn more about the dysfunctional behavior of beta males and what motivates them to participate in this kind of violence, and learn how to prevent these males from becoming, in your life, from becoming just like this male, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBook store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today.